Welcome back to Codswallop and Poppycock, tabletop role-playing experiences by Geek at Arms. Tonight, we bring you Straight Flushed Out to Sea, a mission accomplished adventure. Our guest GM for this one is Jacob M.
So as you all know, your mission on board Blind Stud was a success. The Bull was bankrupted. However, we here at the Hero Agency are not happy. So we need to have a conversation about that. What went well, what went poorly. I hope you all remember what happened aboard the ship. But of course, we've also provided you with copies of the mission dossier, which I'm going to assume you have read. So as the very basics, we're just going to start out with what we know for sure, which is, again, that you succeeded, and you three at least are alive. But we're going to need to talk about a lot of the other facts on the ground. So, first of all, and since we're not actually sitting at a table, the order of people on my screen is Brian, and then Greg, and then John. So We can go in that order if that works. So the first thing we need to do is state one complication, controversy, or horrible mistake made during the mission. Suggestions should be big, over the top, ridiculous, and disastrous. As long as all of you survived, at least all of you in the room, and the mission was successful, nothing is off the table. There's also a table of ideas in the dossier if you don't have anything that springs to mind.
Well, things would have gone splendidly if one of my co-workers had not violated the dress code. It clearly was stated that it was a black tie event. I don't know if he was trying to channel Magnum PI or Felix Leiter, but that Hawaiian shirt really got everybody's attention focused right on us. And with everyone's eyes on us, it was very, very difficult to accomplish the mission.
That is indeed a disaster. Thank you. And next up,
Yes.
Greg.
The chart sideways.
Yes.
I took a screenshot of it and turned it for myself.
That probably would have been smarter. And then just randomly having to arbitrarily decide which row and column to the numbers represent. But I like that one, so I'm going to go with that one.
That is a perfectly acceptable method.
Can't blame me that all the chips exploded. Because I was the last one to touch them and basically the only one to touch them. It doesn't mean you can blame me.
All the ships. That is impressive. And John?
Okay, and tell me one more time, Jacob, I'm using the inspiration table, right?
You can. You don't have to. We just need a complication, controversy, or horrible mistake that happened during the mission. It can be as big as you want, as long as all three of you survived and the mission itself was successful.
Okay. Well, as you know, you should know, I told Tony to bring the device that we talked about last week that was going to help us accomplish at least 30% of the mission. And then my other buddy was supposed to take the other 30% of the mission and was supposed to keep it under wraps until the time that I told him that he was to let everyone else know what he was to do. And neither one of them did what I asked them.
I had the device in my pocket. You forgot to bring the batteries.
Okay, hold on. You know what? It wasn't me to bring the batteries. It was... Okay, Greg, who are you?
I should come up with a name.
Yeah, just real quick. I'm going to pause for a moment.
That is the next step. But yeah, we can get ahead of the names as well.
There you go.
Okay. Tony, as we discussed, it was Rob who was supposed to bring the batteries and handle the other 30% of the tasks.
Hey, batteries are very well needed with explosives.
But the chips were not supposed to explode, Rob.
Now you see the problem.
Yes, it was a problem. It was a very big problem indeed.
Okay. when you say chips, are you talking about the same chips that we talked about last week or the week before?
Both.
Okay. I'm trying not to be confused here, and I want to believe you guys, and I want to accept that we were to be the team that they could count on. And somehow it's coming to someone else's attention, Mission Control, that we may not be that team. So what are we going to do about it?
Oh, believe me, we understand that much. Thank you for your contribution so far. Now we can move into filling out some forms, as it were.
Oh, this is my favorite part.
So next up is agent generation, which you guys have gotten a start on already. So you'll need a name, and looks like you already have that under control. You'll need a specialty, which is the role you served, and your benefit to the mission or the organization, if not the mission, should be obvious. You should be spectacularly competent at your specialty. Also, tell us a fun fact about yourself. And finally, tell how you helped accomplish the primary objective of the mission, which is to bankrupt the bull.
Well, very well, Control. As you know, I am called Tony. That, of course, is not my real name. It is an alias that we use to prevent the bad guys from knowing who we really are. I am a card-counting genius and also a weapons specialist. At the holiday party, it was pointed out to me that I should really have a hobby to make myself more interesting. So I took up origami, which is the ancient Japanese art of paper folding. I love making these little cranes. I've made thousands of them by now. One of these days I really ought to learn how to make something else, but the cranes are so much fun. As for my contributions to the mission, we had been sitting down at the table playing cards for some time. I had already spotted J. Wallace Phillips' palmed ace, so I knew what would happen if the bull revealed his. I therefore taunted the bull with aspersions about his mother and also his manhood. As expected, he called my bet and raised, but when Phillips turned over his cards, the bull realized he would be in a spot of trouble if he revealed another ace of spades. I did manage to lose a good deal of hero's money with that bet, but the bull, as they say, was busted.
Very good. And very impressive, as it sounds like you may have gotten some leverage on the bull through doing that. Well done, Tony.
Thank you, Control. You're very kind.
And if you could put your specialty information in the sheet I just assigned to you, I would appreciate it.
Nice. I am Rob Boss, the driver, because I paint outside the lanes.
Very good.
My specialty is that I am the driver. I drive the car. Hopefully, I'll remember to pick up the passengers. I've been doing this job as long as I can remember, after I got my driver's license at 32.
Cars are famously very effective when you're on a cruise ship.
Hey, some have go-karts. Didn't say I was useful. Why do you think I played around with all the explosives? Sorry, I didn't tell you I brought those, Mission Control.
I've made a note of that. We'll come back to that. And what was your contribution to the primary objective?
I maintained the ability to distract everybody else, so that way a copy of the guest list could be obtained. Unfortunately, that agent did not return.
All right.
Last I heard him screaming was, "Why, Rob, why?" And then that was followed by a large explosion-type sound.
Your honesty is appreciated, Rob, even if it doesn't make you look great.
Hey, results are what matter the most. Because you ask that agent how his results went once you find all of him.
Is your name also intended to be in scare quotes?
Yes.
John, and we're ready for you. Also, do you guys have a way to add yourselves as tokens to the board?
No, we can only do avatars. You have to assign us tokens.
Okay. Because if you add avatars, I can see if I can figure that out. Just because I want to add you to the... Oh yeah, and I guess I should add you to everybody's journal so you can see each other. Because I want to place you guys on the board so that I can give you dice. And then how do I add a token for a character? Just drag? Oh yeah, that worked.
If you drag it onto the board, and then if you want to assign it to a character sheet, then you can do that in the...
Cool. Oh yeah, and you have control over that.
I do.
Awesome.
So I can do this.
Oh dear.
Yeah, you've given me power. And with great power comes no responsibility.
That's what I was afraid of. No wonder the mission didn't go as well as we planned.
You do get a commendation dice for your contributions. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you.
As do you, Tony. And you can go ahead and introduce yourself whenever you're ready, John.
Okay. The name's Band. John Band. 30-06. My specialty is, well, some people call it hacking. I call it heckling. A fun fact, well, I was hired because not only can I make you disappear, but I can make you reappear inside and outside the system. My contribution this last mission was crucial in the bankrupting of Bull, because when you end up looking at the budget and you see a bunch of zeros, all you got to do is take away some of the zeros, and you got less than you started with. And that's how I plan on leaving my legacy.
All right. So did you cooked the books after the mission was up to cover our tracks? Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, there's a mission control. I appreciate you asking that. The thing about being able to access systems across networks and put numbers where numbers need to be and where they were not, and then make others disappear. Sometimes it's just a keystroke. Sometimes it's how you stroke the keys. And it's just how the cards fall.
Ha.
Understood. Thank you. Let me get your commendation dice. And hopefully, since I've added you to the board, once you change your avatar, it will change.
Okay. Am I picking that from anywhere?
Yep.
Okay.
Anything you want. It's just
Anything.
This game is just dice pools, and
Oh, sweet.
it would use index cards if we were in person.
I can't control the dice, though.
I haven't given it to you yet.
Oh, okay.
Now you should be able to.
Don't touch.
All right. And I just realized that I had forgotten about one of the disasters that happened on this mission as well. So, just so that is on the record, I want it noted that somehow during the execution of the mission, the breakfast buffet was contaminated, which means that those passengers, those gamblers who survived the explosion of the ships, went home and were very, very unhappy and may have come away more partial to the Bull and his nefarious compatriots than when they started, which, given the wide geographical range of said gamblers and their high positions in their respective societies, could lead to geopolitical international destabilization, which, as you know, is something that Hero strives to avoid.
Indeed, that is unfortunate, Control.
But so far, you've explained how you contributed positively, to the mission. And so next up are anonymous written reports. So each of you is, it's actually really easy with 3 players. Each of you is sitting next to 2 others, and you all know who you are. We all know some of what happened and the mission objective. So now we need to figure out the timeline of the mission itself. You're each going to get 2 virtual index cards. In other words, you're going to whisper 2 things to me. You will pick one of the other agents on the mission, either the agent to your left or to your right. And in your first whisper to me, you will tell me one way in which that agent positively contributed to the success of the mission. On the second index card, you will look to the other agent, the one you did not pick, and you will write down that one way that that agent complicated, compromised, or negatively contributed to the success of the mission. And these should be kept secret. And when you're done, please send them to me, and I will file them. And then will I try to reconstruct the timeline of what happened? We'll have a little coffee break, in which, how does the book phrase it? Because it's way better than I could. Yes, and of course, continue to refer to the 7 habits of highly effective Black Ops agents. This is what you'll be graded on. Yes, here we go. During the coffee break, agents should not under any circumstances use this time to plan betrayals, form secret alliances, devise strategy, or attempt to intimidate their peers. This would be a serious breach of ethics and is frowned upon by the Hero Department senior leadership. So, make sure that you do not do that. But yes, before you proceed to not do any of those things, make sure that you send me one agent and the positive way they contributed to the mission, and the other agent the way they negatively contributed.
Well, Rob, I understand John says that it was your responsibility to have brought the batteries, but you only brought enough for the explosives?
Hey,
Is it because we ran out of petty cash?
they gave you petty cash?
Well, John had the petty cash. I saw him taking it from the box before we left.
Oh, those were my
I-
personal batteries I brought.
Oh, I assumed that he was distributing it amongst the team to purchase the supplies that we would need.
I got paid by per diem, and
That's very interesting.
yeah. I was trying to debate how to do that because I'm like, do it over whispers, but then it doesn't show up as audio. Have to just come in later and re-record our audio over all the typing.
Right. And do an ADR session for a radio program. Oh, and John, I thought I would show you with some of the extra funds that you were able to procure. I was able to get this very fine new watch. I'm thinking about having Q install a radio in it.
That might be a good plan. Q is not really doing well with his fine motor skills, so you may end up not being able to tell time. I don't know.
Well, I will give that some thought, but it's very pleasant ticking sound.
Sure. Okay. Kind of reminds me of time bomb.
Well, I hope that I will not be having a bomb on my wrist. That would be quite dangerous. It certainly violates some safety regulations.
Yes.
But it's a great
And
way to get
irresponsible.
cuffs. They just slip right off.
I much prefer to strap explosives to my enemy's wrists rather than my own.
Well
What
said.
you gotta do.
Agent Tony, it was you who noted the Hawaiian shirt wearing. Is that correct?
That is correct, Control.
All right. Very interesting. Thank you. So I am still constructing my timeline, but I think I have all the things I need. So you guys are welcome to take a short break if you would like, while I figure out which order I want to talk about these events in.
And Greg, you said that once I get the picture and the bio on my sheet, it will show up on my token?
He dragged the token before it was there, but I can see it there now.
Yeah, he'll have to drag it back out again.
Oh, you have to drag me in. An excellent image.
Thank you.
Did you find
Yes.
that, or did you make it?
I found it and made it. I tell you, all you got to know is how to stroke the keys and you can accomplish anything.
Except for remembering to bring your own batteries.
They weren't my batteries to bring. As I told you before, Tony was supposed to bring the batteries.
No, I was supposed to bring the device. No one said anything to me about batteries. I tried
Okay.
to turn the device on and it did not work.
Where do you think you're supposed to keep the device with no pockets?
I had pockets. I was
Oh,
wearing my three-piece suit with the black tie,
uh-huh.
as was
Mighty leisure
stated
of you.
in the dress code.
Uh-huh. Yep. Mighty leisure of you, buddy. Okay.
Now, just because I was not able to turn off the surveillance devices with the device does not mean that the failures that ensued were my fault.
Oh, no. I wasn't trying to place blame.
Oh, of course not. You would
I-
never do something like that, John. You're
No,
far too
no.
honorable and forthright a person.
I appreciate the sentiment that you are putting forward. I believe that some might believe you, others wouldn't. But
Well, with
We
that
were
being said,
counting on
and
this
since you're being such a generous person right now, I do apologize about that thing with the knife.
well, thankfully it missed all the major parts, and what minor parts a little stitching will take care of. So I'm okay at that point. I would say when you go to hand a knife to someone, please hand it with your left hand going forward rather than tossing it.
Well, it's a reflex, you know.
I've heard about your reflexes. Hey, Rob,
Yes.
Tony was mentioning his reflexes.
Oh, yeah, he does not.
Remember our last conversation?
Yeah.
Well, in my defense, when you pointed out that button, you shouldn't have mentioned the button first and then say don't push it. Say don't push the button, not see that button there. Don't push it. By the
Okay.
time you said don't push it, I've already pushed it.
Okay. But if I'm saying don't push it, you're going to look at me and waste precious seconds wondering what you're not supposed to push if I don't say, see that button there?
But if you're telling me to not do something, is wasting time really an issue?
Okay, good point. You make a valid argument. I get it.
Always.
But if I walk around every day, like, okay, take Rob for instance. If I say, see that door there? I'm expecting him to go, which door? Not grab whatever door he's in front of.
Well, that's what the door is there for, is to grab and open. If you're
Okay,
not supposed to open it, why is it a door?
but I may be
You see,
trying
he's
to
on my
tell you
side.
something. Of course he is. Of course he is. If I was paying him that much, I would be on your side too.
Who keeps paying you all?
Okay, back to the door.
Yeah, open the door, go inside. Gotcha.
This door here,
What if I'm trying to tell you something about that door before you open it?
Then the first thing you should say is, don't push the button and don't open the door.
I can see we've got a little ways to go.
perhaps we could do with some team building exercises, or perhaps
Oh,
a
that would
seminar
be-
in interpersonal communication.
Was that
That
the
would-
fun one where you have to fall on, where you catch each other falling off high places?
What?
Yeah. You tell somebody to climb up really high, they climb up something really high, and then they just kind of close their eyes and fall backwards, and then you laugh when they hit the ground.
Oh, I see. And so you would say to someone, see that ledge there? And they're just going to fall off. Is that what you're trying to tell me? Does that prove your case?
Yeah, because you tell them don't climb up on the ledge, they're going to fall off.
I'm not getting anywhere with these people.
All right, agents. Are you ready to proceed?
Of course, control.
Get to the bottom of this?
Thank you, Control.
Unless we're not
Please.
supposed to go to the bottom, then we need to be told that first.
No, it's good that you got back on the surface of the ocean. That's a consistent thread in the narrative that I'm hearing from the three of you. It's actually remarkably consistent, given the discord I'm seeing at this conference table right now. Nonetheless, we will need to go through the timeline of what happened and resolve any remaining ambiguities. I'd remind you to all refer to the paper I gave you that talks about the 7 habits of a highly effective Black Ops agents, which are, of course, commitment to excellence, efficiency, team spirit, personal development, respect for authority, inventory management, and fiscal responsibility. As we proceed through these various events, some of them will name a specific agent, and when that is the case, I would like that agent primarily to explain their behavior, whether it was good or bad, though of course this is always an open forum. If you demonstrate commitment to the 7 principles, you will of course receive a commendation die. If you demonstrate that you have failed to uphold those principles, you will receive a citation die, which is red instead of the nice, boring white color die that you have in front of you right now. And finally, if the conversation at the table just devolves into bickering, then I will be forced to break out my blue anarchy dice, which would be very, very bad for everyone involved. So please don't make me do that. And so, without further ado, let's get started. And I know I mentioned that there wasn't a lot of disagreement about what happened on this mission, but right off the bat, there's 2 things that are puzzlingly ambiguous, and we need resolved. So I'll address myself to you, Tony. It is claimed that you wore a bright white belted leisure suit with gold bling swinging from your neck, and this was on a mission which key operation was supposed to be performed at night. Now, of course, this is interesting, as you also brought up the fact that a different agent wore a Hawaiian shirt on the mission. So I'm sensing a disturbing lack of commitment to the dress code that we established before you all went out. But it's also unclear to me who was wearing the Hawaiian shirt, since the name was not provided when this complaint was made. Now, we do know that Agent Morrison left in the early morning with you folks, but didn't come back. So it very well may have been him. But this is a troubling matter that demands resolution.
Well, you see, Control. The leisure suit was not my primary attire for the evening. I arrived, as discussed, in my black tie 3-piece suit. However, there was an unfortunate incident at the buffet table. A great deal of cocktail sauce was spilled on me, and I needed to get a change of clothes quite rapidly. So, using the company provided lockpick kit, I broke into one of the rooms of one of the other gamblers and appropriated some appropriate clothing so that I would be able to fit in at the table and not be drawing too much attention with my stained clothing. As for the Hawaiian shirt, well, I did not wish to throw anyone under the bus, but I'm afraid that it was, unfortunately, Mr. Boss, our driver, who was wearing the shirt. I think that he was thought the bright colors would make him go faster or something of the sort.
It's distraction.
Mr. Boss, is that distraction? That's your only defense?
Yes, if everybody's looking at me, they're not looking at everybody else.
It did draw attention away from my stained shirt.
Those things both are true, but given what I've just heard described, I'll have to say that Tony, this was an excellent display of inventory management, taking a piece of agency inventory and utilizing it in a creative way to avoid exposure. And for that, I will award you 1 additional commendation die.
Why, thank you, Control.
And Mr. Boss, while your efforts in distraction did not go unappreciated, the fact that you could not even be bothered to try starting in the specified black tie getup displays an unfortunate lack of team spirit, and thus I will be punishing you with a single citation die.
My later attempts at distraction went much better.
That is what I am led to understand. So, unless anybody has any more to say about that matter, then we can move on to the next item on my agenda. That is the issue of the device. Now, I must admit, I was on a need-to-know basis for this mission, so I've been kept out of the loop about the precise nature of the device. However, it seems to have been a topic of conversation already this evening. I'm led to understand that, Tony, you brought the device, but no batteries, and that Rob had been assigned to bring the batteries, but did not bring enough to power the device. So I'd like you to explain what the device accomplished, as I don't think it was mentioned in any of the success conditions we talked about. I also want to discuss the distribution of mission credit in this case. When this was brought up, the numbers that I were given were that the device without batteries was responsible for 30% of the success of the mission. The batteries and Rob's other tasks were responsible for 30% of the mission. However, between Morrison and Agent Band, that only leaves 40% responsibility between the two of them. And so I hope you can see that this isn't exactly an equitable distribution of tasks. So this demands quite a bit of clarification, I think.
Well, as for the device, it in fact did not contribute to our success because it did not have any batteries. It was intended to disable the security cameras on the ship. However, when I turned it on, the light didn't come on, and so when I checked the battery compartment, I saw that there were no batteries. At this point, I asked Rob Boss, "Do you have the batteries?" And he said no. And I thought that was peculiar because I quite clearly saw him buying batteries at the 7-Eleven on our way out. As for the distribution of labor, 30% plus 30%, and there were 4 of us, so I believe that our total mission objectives to accomplish were somewhere in the range of 120%. I'm not entirely certain how the remaining 60% was distributed between John and Agent Morrison.
I did not fail to bring the batteries. It was failed to tell me what the batteries were for. I did bring batteries and they were used. I was not told they were for the device. So by the time I was asked about the batteries, they had already been placed in use.
And what use was that?
The aforementioned explosives that were given to Agent Morrison.
Ah, I understand. Agent Band, you were the one who brought up these 30% numbers, and since Agent Morrison isn't here to speak for himself, I can only hear your side of the story and from that extrapolate his. What do you have to say about the remaining 40% of the mission success that was on your and his shoulders?
Mission Control, I'd like to come completely clean and also let you know that Morrison did grant me power of attorney over his finances. And so I could speak for him. Greg, stop.
That's a great display of fiscal responsibility by Morrison. He will be awarded an honorary commendation die, even though he is in absentia.
I'm pretty sure he has a little bit of him with all of us.
Being able to speak for him, I'm coming clean, sir. I want to make sure that you understand that being the unspoken leader of this team and taking as much responsibility as is upon someone who accepts leadership, there was Morrison had 30% as well, and I was trying to be generous and just covering my 10%, but making sure that my compatriots had the necessary tools, the necessary communication, the necessary brain pattern, the necessary heart rhythmia. It's to be a holistic approach to enter the compound area of this ship and the simple tasks of bringing batteries for the device so that we can get rid of surveillance cameras and make them look as if they are not doing what they're supposed to do or however that's supposed to work. Look, Morrison did his best. And I do believe that he should be compensated in some way. Before he left, He said something about Uzbekistan. I don't know what that meant. Maybe we're supposed to meet up sometime for drinks. I don't know. But I want you to know that we all went into this with super happy, positive thoughts. Everybody was on the same page. And okay, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus. I really don't. But I really think that there's a sibling rivalry going on between Tony and Rob. And I have talked to them about how much family matters. And when we're trying to work on these cases like this, the mission, you've got to put your differences aside. You got to focus on the mission. And if you think that there's going to be problems, then I need to know ahead of time. I can only ask so many questions. I can only pry so much. Now, of course, I can hack whatever I needed to get the information I need, but is that the ethical manner? I don't want to be unethical.
I hear you,
hope
Agent
that
Band.
helps you understand mission control.
I hear you. And I must say, you demonstrate something even more than respect for authority that we like to see here at Hero by designating yourself the de facto leader while acknowledging only doing 10% of the work. You're displaying an understanding of how authority works here at Hero. And for that, I can only give you a commendation die. As for you, Tony,
Thank you, sir.
while I appreciate your trust in your teammates, the fact that you did not even test the device to see if it worked until the moment where its failure made it necessary to completely dispense with that part of the mission is an unacceptable lapse in efficiency, and for that, you are given a citation die. All right, next is something that was very unclear and disconnected from things until something that I heard just a little while ago. And that is the contamination or poisoning or some other fiddling with of the breakfast buffet. So, as you know, though the tournament was to take place at night, and that is when the main events of the mission happened, we did make sure that you arrived on the ship early in the morning and they were there for breakfast. And thus, I can only assume that something went wrong between your arrival on the ship and the eating of breakfast late in the morning, which caused this contamination. Now, I did hear about an incident that also led to a cocktail sauce spill. These incidents may not be related, but it strikes me as coincidental that two breakfast-related events would happen on a mission not focused on breakfast time. Can anyone enlighten me about what happened here?
Well, as you know, Control, I was approaching the breakfast table to have a bagel or some shrimp or something of the sort. I had my eye on a particular everything bagel and some cream cheese next to it. At this time, I was approached by someone, I believe he is known as the Captain. I don't think that he holds any actual naval rank, but everyone calls him the Captain. In any case, he was gesticulating wildly and knocked the cocktail sauce off of the breakfast buffet onto my suit, leading thus to my needing to acquire a change of clothing. I never actually made it to the breakfast bar, so I do not know who might have interfered with or contaminated it.
Well, that would explain why you did not experience any of the symptoms that the other passengers who survived allegedly did. What about the other two? Did either of you partake in breakfast?
Was this the same morning of Morrison's accident? Because that was near the kitchen when they were preparing to serve breakfast.
I only know of one Morrison-related accident, and that would have been the one that led to his death just before your extraction. If there was another one, please enlighten us.
Morrison did not enjoy being at sea. He did not partake well to the waves, and he told me he was exiting the room to go use the facilities to see if he could clear up some. But then we turned the corner, and I did not see where he had gone, but it was right by the kitchen.
Interesting.
Mission Control, may I interrupt, please, sir?
Please do.
I can concur with Rob. I didn't quite fully see what was going on, but I saw Morrison leaning over some pots in the kitchen. I didn't think he was sick. I didn't think he was in distress. It looked like he was, I hate to say this, maybe he was spicing things up a bit.
He was a man who could hold his spice well.
Sir, I'm going to have to say that I can't rule out that maybe there were some spices that shouldn't have been there that were, and yeah.
That is a highly plausible explanation. Now, I must say this does paint all three of you in a rather unfavorable light, as one of your team members was in distress. As you know, team spirit is the third of our 7 habits of highly effective Black Ops agents, third only to our commitment to excellence and efficiency.
Sir, but I'm sorry to interrupt you. You mentioned team spirit.
I did.
Both Rob and I, after meeting up when we went around the curved hallway there, when we came back and Rob was still there in the kitchen for a moment, we both asked him if he was okay. We did say, Rob, we noticed you were in the kitchen. It looks like you were in distress. Are you okay? And he turned to us. Morrison. He turned to us. That's what I was trying to say. He turned to us. He wasn't green. He wasn't shaking. A little wide-eyed. I could have been the paprika. But he said, I'm fine. Why do you ask? And I looked at Rob, and Rob looked at me, and we said, just wanted to check on our teammate. And he left.
This did happen.
Control. I'm noticing some signs of possible prevarication in that story, that he cannot keep the names straight.
I'm sorry, did I call you Tawny rather than Tony?
No, the conflation of Rob Boss and Agent Morrison. I find that's highly suspect.
Okay,
You do bring up a good point.
Sometimes
Agent
it's a
Tony.
little hard to tell us apart. My scar goes down my right eye. His went down his left eye, though.
Yes. And I did run into Rob in the hallway after we had both seen Morrison in the kitchen. And as we came back together, Morrison still being in the kitchen, we both approached him and asked if he was okay. I believe, sir, that we did show at least a minor amount of team spirit at this point.
You certainly,
As opposed to Tony, who was nowhere to be found.
you have taken the words right out of my mouth. You certainly showed more team spirit than Tony, and for that reason, I will award you each a commendation die. My inclination is to give Tony a citation die, but as he's brought up some troubling inconsistencies, I'm going to hold off on that for the moment. The order of events now is somewhat unclear, but I figured we could proceed through them in a kind of logical order. So the next thing I have to discuss is Agent Band's bug devices, which were apparently used to bug studs in the ship, but in certain cases were placed too close together, which caused feedback. So I'm going to need some elaboration on your purposes behind these bugs banned and why they partially failed and what outcomes that may have contributed to.
I understand, sir. I would be very glad to address this issue once again. You know, I hold a special place in my heart for Morrison. He has been a valuable member of our team, even after he did get that scar over the right side of his face. Well, I mean, when I'm looking in the mirror at him, it's, yeah. I told him as he and I were working together on these stud bugs, and I told him it's not 16 inches on center. These have to be 24 or more on center. And I think what he may have thought was that I meant 24 millimeters as opposed to 24 inches. Okay, there's a thing where I try to accommodate my team members by speaking in appropriate and clear language. When they want Greek, I try to give them Greek. When they want Kazakhstan, I try to give them that. If they want Japanese, I try to give them that. But when it comes to U.S. conversions versus metrics, there's an understanding that we all have. If I'm saying 24 on center, I'm talking inches. It's just the way it is. 16 on center. That's the way it is. And sir, I should have, as the leader, made myself more clear. And unfortunately, at this point, I will take one for the team and say that I believed he understood what I was asking him to do. I left him to do that job. He had one job. I left him to do that job because I really wanted to check on Rob and make sure that, when that fall that he took on the staircase, a couple hours prior to us starting to do these stud bugs, I wanted to make sure that he was okay. Did he have any problems with that hip that's given him issues over the last couple of years? So, yeah, my apologies, sir. Sincere apologies.
Your apologies accepted, but you are correct, Band. You should have done better. Now, Tony and Rob, how did your teammates' failure and the feedback in particular affect what you were doing during the day and evening leading up to the completion of the mission?
I personally found the whistling quite distracting while I was trying to place my bets during the tournament. I fear that I did not play as well as that I could have because of the constant whistling in my ear.
The distraction that everybody else was hearing was making it more difficult to set up all of my distractions, because they kept wanting to look around and try to figure out where the noise was coming from, and they kept just looking towards me.
I would like to interject, Control, that I greatly appreciate Agent Band's attempts to encourage professional development with Agent Morrison by giving him a job for which he was in no way qualified.
It was excellent team building there, building up our best
and brightest.
And
it's important to recognize that on our teammates, because only by recognizing development in others can we cultivate it in ourselves.
My sentiments exactly, sir.
And let it also be noted, he had a quite explosive personality.
That's what I'm led to understand. In any case, Agent Boss, that brings us rather neatly into the next event, which I've heard about, which is your partially successful distraction. So I understand that this distraction worked in a sense, but that one of our secondary objectives, that is getting the guest list, was not successful while this distraction was happening. I believe through process of elimination that Agent Morrison was in charge of getting this guest list. And since we know that he did not pass away until later in the day, it's not clear to me why he was not successful in his attempt. Perhaps you gentlemen can shed some light on these events.
Yes, that would be due to the aforementioned problems with the studs. Everybody kept looking at me while I was trying to attempt to do the distraction. It's very hard to get the initial juggle with all the chainsaws started when everybody's looking. You kind of got to get the little one behind your back first, but just a little worrisome. Once they get going around, though, it's a lot better.
And were these chainsaws in your standard issue survival kit, or did you somehow get these aboard without having them added to the official mission manifest?
I bring them everywhere with me. It's just kind of something to do when you're bored. It's a great way to help you sleep. It kind of gets that nice little white noise going, or, practice the juggling, as I said, or, sometimes you just got to get a tree out of the road when you're driving.
Interesting. Any
I
other
would like to lodge a
perspectives?
formal complaint at this prank control, because operating a gasoline chainsaw in an enclosed space like a cruise ship is not very good for our personal health. I fear that our insurance premiums will be going up after this incident.
Do you not all carry personal chainsaws?
Not as a standard part of my everyday carry, no.
Oh. I'll hook you up
I
with my
lost-
chainsaw guy. He can get you a range of sizes.
I lost my license to carry. Sorry, brother.
Perhaps if I could get one that fits in an ankle holster.
Well, it'll fit down your leg, that's for sure.
No, Tony does bring up a good point. As far as I'm concerned, if these are your personal use chainsaws, it's on the borderline of what could be considered acceptable to bring on a mission. But it definitely falls into the category of something that you should check with accounting for possible insurance implications later on down the line, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I still haven't heard during this period if we have any insight into to what Morrison was doing. Do you have any perspective on that, Band?
Sir, I wanted to make sure I understand. So this is during the time when he's to be getting the guest list?
Yes, that's what I'm led to understand.
From what I understand, and I've tried to do a little of my own internal researching here, this guest list, though it was a supposed valuable piece of information that we wanted, at least in the first quarter of the mission, from what I understand, and I want to say that Morrison told me this. I may have been drunk at the moment, but he alluded to me that when he went into the office to get the guest list, that he noticed that there were two of them. And it was a judgment call that he made to say, I don't know which one is the actual guest list. So when in doubt, don't. And I think he just left the room. And at that point, I don't know if he was able to maybe talk to the ship's doctor and confirm that his shingles weren't going to get any worse, and thereby being able to see if there maybe was a master guest list hidden in the doctor's office. I don't know for sure what he was thinking, but I believe he gave it the college try that we all would expect from it.
Fair enough. Well, in this case, Band, as you've previously claimed some credit for Morrison's successes, in this case, I can only blame you for his failure to commit to excellence. When in doubt, take neither is not something that a hero agent should ever say. And this is something that you should have been able to impress on Morrison, even in your short time together on this mission. And of course, as we've discussed, Agent Boss, next time make sure that you clear your personal inventory with accounting before the mission.
Understand, sir, and thank you for your very kind direction of my misdeeds and where I need to improve and how I can better handle these things in the future.
Next, we have a very happy piece of information, and that is that Tony, apparently during your run through the poker tables, in the lead up to the final success of the mission, you were actually able to find out the identity of $, the person who was running these tournaments. So please tell us how you managed to accomplish this, even while there was this annoying buzzing in your ear.
Oh, yes, Control. As it turned out, $'s identity was that of a dwarf by the name of Roger, and it was a simple matter of deductive elimination of every other player, every other person at the table, noticing that people were giving Roger particular deference and that he was, in fact, collecting a small sum at the end of every round. So, between all of the pieces of information that I picked up, it was easy to deduce that Roger was, in fact, $.
Very good.
Also, his reputation for violence was revealed when one of the other passengers insulted him and he quite savagely bit the man's leg.
The old kneecapper.
That is shocking, and that's the kind of evil that we at Hero are here to prevent. Thank you for your service, Agent.
Why, thank you, Control.
However, we also need to discuss something else, and that is the fact that apparently during this process of running the tables, you managed to temporarily put Hero quite far in the red, which, of course, is a glaring failure of fiscal responsibility. Now, thankfully, our hacker or heckler friend was able to defray these costs enough for the successful completion of the mission. But Agent Ban, perhaps you can speak to precisely the extent of the losses which Tony incurred and how you were able to ameliorate them.
Sir, I do not mean to be rude or cause any. I don't mean to cause you any distress, sir, but I think you're completely out of line in this. At this point, I would like to share with you that Tony and I, by his admission, agreed to make it look as if he was running us into the red because we got a tip that that gentleman that was sitting to the right of the dwarf, I'm sorry, I forget his name,
Roger,
had somehow, to the right of Roger, had somehow discovered some personal information, some corporate information about our unit. And so there was a tip off there. And Tony and I agreed that he would run it as if he was going to bankrupt us, knowing that with the mad skills that I have in moving numbers around and stroking keys, that I could fix whatever would be the problem. And so, sir, I don't mean to be an upstart, but I have to call into question that Tony would receive any demerit at that point for his activities, which were not necessarily putting us truly in the red. It was this gentleman that was at the table who we will call the Anonymous to the right of Roger there. Anonymous was the one that we were trying to throw off the path, off the track of this whole thing.
I understand your display of team spirit is admirable and your command of the facts is impeccable. However, I do take issue with your tone, and therefore I also award you a citation die.
And I confess that there was some degree of risk in our stratagem, and in the final hand, it became necessary to make a choice between recouping our losses that we had made earlier and achieving our primary objective, which was to bankrupt the bull. The only way to get the bull to buy fully into his hand was to raise the pot to a level that he could only just barely cover.
Yes, and you've preempted my my next question, which was about that final winning hand, which would ultimately lead to the bull's bankruptcy. So please continue your story about how this went down.
Well, as I said, the game had come down to myself, the bull, and Mr. Phillips. Now, I had seen Mr. Phillips palm an ace of spades, and I knew that he was a ruthless and violent man, and that if indeed $sign was watching the entire thing, and if there was any indication of cheating, things would go very badly for whoever was revealed to be cheating. So I forced the matter by using my card counting ability, knowing that the bull had an ace of spades in his hand, and knowing that he would be revealing his hand after Mr. Phillips. So I taunted him, forced him to get into a so-called urination match with myself, and goaded him into matching my bet. Then when Mr. Phillips turned over his ace of spades, the bull realized he could not turn over an ace of spades without being accused of cheating and the entire thing erupting in violence. Therefore, he folded without showing his cards. Left penniless, he had no choice but to turn to Hero to extract him from the situation.
Very good. And Well, these games leading up to this final game were happening. What were the other two or three of you at the time doing?
My understanding is that Rob Boss was participating in one of the blood sports.
Yes. Water polo.
Full contact water polo
Exactly. It's no fun without that.
with mallets.
Exactly. Morrison was at least nice enough there to help. He didn't do very well holding me up, though. I think it's the height difference.
Well, this does seem extraneous to the mission. It does also seem like a great display of team spirit.
Exactly. Working together.
Congratulations. All right, so immediately after that hand and the end of the tournament, Band, I hear that you cooked the books, which then led to the final bankruptcy of the bull. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, you are correct.
And how did you accomplish that?
Well, as I've so eloquently put before you and the board, it's all in how the keys are stroked. It is what you choose to see when you look at a large series of numbers that someone say, these are my earnings, this is my GDP over my FAQ. And when I am able to look at the MVPs the way I would any CDLs, I have to say that it's just ones and zeros at that point. And as I'm looking at those numbers and thinking that there are too many zeros, and these books look to be a little heavy, and realizing that our mission must succeed at all costs, I just decided to pocket a few of those zeros and just have them as if they disappeared into thin air.
That is an excellent display of fiscal responsibility, Agent. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
It seems like we've finally gotten to the part of the mission where Agent Boss's skills were in higher demand. So I present this recollection of events in almost the same words it was delivered to me, because some of the phrasing struck me as very particular. Rob, perhaps you can explain what the author of this note may have been referring to.
Well, I did very well steer us all in the right direction as I procured a go-kart. Like I said, it's good to have a driver. Procured that go-kart.
Mm-hmm.
Once most of the security staff was following behind me, I made sure to take that good right, and then that right left, and then that perfect left just to keep them on their toes. And once they started catching up, I yelled at Morrison to catch, and he did. And then he yelled out his the thing I will always remember him saying, "Why, Rob, why?"
It was like a catchphrase.
And what did he catch? Were any of the other agents there, or was it just you and Morrison?
I believe Tony was still preoccupied at the time finishing up the tournament, and I believe Band was still working on his computer, and I don't think that cruise ships have a mother's basement, but I don't know for sure. And as for what I tossed to the dear Agent Morrison, alas, it was my lucky chainsaw. It was the one that you didn't have to hold the dead man switch on.
So is this another accident that was previously unmentioned?
No, he caught it quite well, actually.
Huh.
Just right in between his teeth.
Oh dear.
He was fine, though.
No, that's what I'm led to understand, at least for a few moments longer. So I suppose that means that your throw was truly excellent.
Yes.
Congratulations,
It
Agent
was.
Boss. But in any case, keep going. I do want to hear about how you moved from the cart, to gathering up your coworkers, to getting in a boat, to hitting a Coast Guard boat, killing Morrison. I'm also curious as to whether this happened before or after the boats exploded, which is something that I hear happened. And earlier in our conversation, it was also mentioned that at some point Morrison mentioned Uzbekistan, and it's not clear to me in the timeline where this happened. So I hope you can all see there's a lot of loose threads that demand tying up here.
Okay. So after I threw the chainsaw and Morrison caught it, that kind of got everybody running because nobody wants to be around the guy with the chainsaw in his mouth.
We've all been there.
So I swerved back around, grabbed him, and pulled him back into the go-kart as well, which was perfect timing because this was as Tony had made his victory, has made his way out. So I just kind of grabbed him as well, got both of them in there with me. Good thing Morrison was a nice little guy, Tony fit, so it wasn't too much of a room. And don't worry, there was still enough room for Band. I'm sorry about your leg still, you should have moved to the left.
As for the ships exploding, I am afraid that part of that is my fault. You see, to cover our retreat during the pursuit, I happened to have procured a rocket-propelled grenade and fired that on a trajectory to our rear, striking one of the ships and setting it alight. From there was a bit of a chain reaction.
And what was the method of this procurement?
I hit someone over the head and took it from him.
All right.
That the gold chain from my purloined leisure suit was quite useful as a bludgeon.
It's like a monkey ball.
Very good.
Monkey fist, sorry.
So would you say that the ship explosions then happened prior to the collision with the Coast Guard, or were these things so close in time that they weren't really distinct?
There may have been a causal relationship.
Interesting.
I would concur, sir.
And Band, while I have your attention, you had mentioned earlier Morrison mentioning Uzbekistan. Now, given that it was stated in no uncertain terms that he died during the collision with the Coast Guard, this is a rather large unanswered question. When did he mention Uzbekistan, and how indubitable were the circumstances of his death? Because, we can't have assets leaving our little corporate family without going through the proper procedures.
Oh, I thought as far as Morrison's leaving the company, I thought that all procedures were followed precisely and cleanly, and I know there's no evidence of any foul play, that it was completely natural and normal. And I would say that he had a smile on his face, at least. As far as Uzbekistan, he mentioned it. When I met him, we were talking on the way on board to the ship, and I saw him look to the left as I was trying to carry on an important conversation. And as he turned back towards me, I'd asked him a question, and he just looked at me and said, Uzbekistan. And I said, what? And he just kind of shook his head a little bit and said, what'd you say? And I'm like, okay, never mind. And I just took note of that. And, then there was the thing with the pots and the kitchen and the leaning over, and Rob and I thinking that maybe something he was in distress or whatever. And as he darted past us, when we asked him if he was okay, and he said he was okay, I heard him almost in a sing-song voice, Uzbekistan. And I looked at Rob like, what is he talking about? And then, sadly to say, we were really close. I mean, as close as agents can be. And sorry, I need just a moment. After he caught the chainsaw, and I saw a tear in his eye, it reached down deep inside. and I saw him mouth Uzbekistan. And I felt a tear roll down my cheek and splash off my chin. But to this day, I don't know what it means. And I'm sorry, sir. I just don't know what it means.
Tony, Rob, what's your read on this? Do you think it's possible that Morrison was trying to make a clean break with Hero?
Oh, I don't know about that, sir. I believe, Hero being an international organization, perhaps he had relatives in Uzbekistan.
And while Van did try to say it was a clean getaway, it was not very clean. I still found parts of him.
Well, at least if he was trying to get out of the organization in an illicit manner, you all, intentionally or not, ensured that he would not do so, and that displays a great respect for the authority of Hero, and for that, you will all receive a commendation die.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
And, are you dancing?
Dancing with joy for the commendation die.
Very good. That, I think, brings us to a place where there are a few small unanswered questions, but we have assigned credit for our objectives. We have assigned blame for the complications. And now, of course, the agency will decide which of you is up for a promotion and which one is not. Basically, you'll roll all of these, and then I think how it works, a little double check, is that you roll your die, and so any number that comes up on the red die will cancel out any of that number that's rolled on the white die. There were no anarchy die. Those just behave like red die, but for everybody.
Okay.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's
you guys
where we
were
were
well
close.
behaved.
I'm normally cooperative with one another for role players.
Yes. So yeah, let's see.
What is that little symbol on yours, Brian?
I think it's 2 lightning bolts hugging.
I thought it was
Wow.
like a whirlwind.
It's kind of cute.
And then does one have a health bar?
Yes.
Very good.
Actually, it's green, so it must be a mana bar.
Yeah. But yeah, so you guys will roll all your die together, and then you remove any commendation die that match one of your citation dice.
All right.
Yeah.
And how are we rolling the dice?
So select, if you can box select all your die,
Okay.
and then right click on them, and go to multi-sided random side.
Boing.
That is-
Very good.
Oh,
And
thank
so
you.
then you remove all the die that match any of the red die. So you can see how the other guys kind of did it. So drag away the 5 and the red 5 and any 5s, the red 4 and any 4, and the red 2 and any 2s. And then your score is what's left over.
5, 5, 4, 4, 2, 2.
All right. So Tony, you have a 4 and 3 3s. Wow. Rob, you have a 5 and a 3.
Yes, because I rolled 3 white 2s.
Yeah. And John has a 6, a 3, and a 2.
Yes.
So that actually makes it really easy. All right. So your final results. Who is up for promotion and who is not? Tony, I regret to inform you that you have been evaluated by Hero as being in official last place. You have been deemed a liability to the organization, and it is recommended that the HR department arrange for your disappearance, which I am assured they will be doing so.
Wow.
I understand that this is a harsh recommendation, but it is necessary, as you understand, for a well-oiled intelligence agency. So please collect your belongings from your desk and head to HR, and they'll inform you about the necessary steps to disappear.
Very well, Control. I hope that the termination at least comes with a handsome severance package.
There's something along those lines. Agent Boss, Hero has determined that you truly exemplify the 7 habits of highly effective Black Ops agents. You are exactly the type of agent the Hero department needs in the fight against villains. you will be given a promotion, a corner office, and an agency credit card, which of course is to only be used in emergencies.
Yay!
And finally, Agent Band, you demonstrated a skill above and beyond what was expected. You have embodied the best of what we have to offer, and you've done so well that you've been deemed too competent for low-risk missions like these, which means you have been upgraded to Omega-7 clearance. Now, of course, you don't know what Omega-7 clearance is, and that's because nobody really does. And so it's fitting that your final mission for us was above the waves, as our Omega-7 facility is actually at the very bottom of the ocean in international waters. So as we speak, the agency is in the process of scrubbing every trace of your identity from the world so that nobody will ever know that you ever existed. We'll be shipping you to our black site immediately, where you will be undergoing experimental medical treatments that will prepare your body for a life in the deep sea. I hear it's a really interesting experience to get gills, and then you will be processed after that and sent to our deepest deep sea base, where you'll be doing very important work for Hero and never be heard from by us again. Thank you very much for your service, and congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
And that's mission accomplished.
So, did I interpret this correctly that the player with the highest score gets the harshest penalty?
Yes.
Other than possibly sent on the most lethal missions?
Yep.
So for what?
Second place is the only good ending in this game.
Oh, no, I had a good ending.
That's why I said thank you, sir, because I'm like, I didn't know that I was going to visit Mariana's Trench.
So this is the one game where my notoriously bad rolls are a good thing.
It was the hair. I know it was the hair.
Well, thank you guys. You made that a ton of fun.
Wow, that was amazing.
Thanks for listening to Straight Flushed Out to Sea, a mission accomplished adventure. You can find more episodes of Codswallop and Poppycock, as well as the Geek at Arms podcast and all our other actual play feeds at geekatarms.com.